It's the most sophisticated game of cat and mouse you've never heard about. In this video, we'll break down the Navy's precision strike, the cutting-edge tech behind it, and what it means for cartel operations around the world. Drug cartels are building narco subs capable of carrying up to 10 tons of cocaine, worth over $150 million per trip, deep beneath the waves. Intelligence analysts estimate only about 25% of these subs are intercepted, meaning the majority succeed. But what happens when these narco subs go head-to-head with the US Navy's advanced technology? The answer will leave you stunned. What if your most resourceful adversary operated out of sight, beneath the waves, capable of transporting billions of dollars worth of illicit narcotics across hemispheres? This question defines the staggering challenge posed by the evolution of narco submarines, vessels that have propelled drug cartels into a new era of high-tech smuggling. These subs, built in secret jungle workshops, have transformed the way cartels move their contraband, making them nearly undetectable by traditional maritime patrols. It began in the 1980s, a period when rudimentary towable tubes gave cartels a crude yet effective way to export their product. These floating pipelines, submerged just below the water, avoided detection by radar and often went unnoticed by patrolling ships. By the 1990s, however, a more ambitious strategy emerged. Colombian cartels, spearheading this innovation, began constructing small motorized submarines. Designed with fiberglass shells and powered by relatively basic engines, these vessels were limited in range and capacity, but represented a leap forward in stealth and operational reach. Today's narco subs bear little resemblance to their early predecessors. With lengths reaching up to 80 feet, modern variants can transport up to 10 tons of narcotics and travel over 2,500 miles submerged. In late 2024, during Operation Orion, one cartel submarine was tracked more than 10,000 miles across the Pacific before US and Allied forces intercepted it en route to Australia. Proof of cartels' expanding reach into distant, emerging drug markets. At every stage, the design of these vessels has been refined to slip past advanced detection methods. Low-profile hulls painted in oceanic blue-gray shades help them visually disappear against the water. Their engines are modified to run quieter and produce minimal heat, hindering identification by surveillance aircraft using thermal imaging. Modern models are even outfitted with lead lining to mask the heat signatures created by internal systems. A prime example of how far this arms race between cartels and law enforcement has escalated. Their low emissions and streamlined shapes not only reduce radar visibility, but allow them to travel largely unnoticed by sonar systems used by naval patrols. A stark example of their efficiency comes from intelligence estimates that for every submarine intercepted, 3 to 4 succeed, meaning roughly 75% of these vessels slip through undetected. Typical full-size narco subs carry up to 10 tons of cocaine, with each trip potentially worth more than $150 million. These handcrafted vessels cost between $1 and $2 million to build, reflecting the cartel's significant investment in technological innovation. Many are equipped with scuttle mechanisms, emergency valves that allow their crews to sink the craft and its contents within minutes if detected. By flooding the submarine, cartels ensure that authorities are left with nothing more than an empty stretch of ocean, even in the event of interception. Tales of interception have not always been victories for the US Navy. In one case, a narco sub slipped past patrols near Central America's Pacific coast and wasn't identified until it had already offloaded its cargo into smaller vessels, reaching its final destination undisturbed. Cartels leverage not only technology, but also the vast and largely unguarded open ocean, complicating the mission of navies and coast guards. Modern narco subs can operate independently for up to 3,000 miles without refueling, deepening the logistical challenge of finding them before they offload their payload. These vessels present a growing international concern. Longer operational ranges mean smuggling routes now extend far beyond traditional hotspots in the Americas. Operation Martillo, launched in 2012, demonstrated the power of multinational collaboration. In its first year alone, the operation led to the arrest of 339 smugglers, the seizure of 101 boats, and the confiscation of 119 tons of cocaine, worth $2.35 billion. Such efforts highlight the importance of coordinated action to combat the cartel's expanding reach. Faced with the growing challenge, The U.S. Navy has adjusted its approach. Advanced surveillance platforms such as high-resolution satellite imaging and maritime drones are now deployed in areas where narco subs are known to transit. Traditional radar systems are no longer sufficient on their own. Instead, the Navy uses an array of acoustic sensors positioned strategically along high-traffic corridors. These sensors pick up low-frequency noise patterns emitted by subs as they move through water, helping pinpoint their location even in vast, remote ocean areas. In addition to reconnaissance technology, the Navy leverages real-time intelligence gathered through human infiltration of cartel networks. Informants embedded within these shadowy organizations supply critical details about launch points, transit schedules, and rendezvous locations. This effort works in tandem with computations derived from artificial intelligence algorithms, which map smuggling routes based on historical patterns and recent attempts. Such coordination has already begun to recalibrate the balance in this clandestine conflict. For the drug cartels, narco submarines represent a lifeline, but for the U.S. Navy, they are a puzzle requiring constant adaptation. Each intercepted vessel provides valuable insights into how cartels innovate, tweak, and pivot to outmaneuver detection. While the submarines have stayed one step ahead for decades, that advantage is no longer guaranteed. As naval forces refine their technological arsenal, the once impenetrable defenses of these vessels are beginning to crack. Leading this counter-effort is a specialized inventory of high-tech tools and seamless coordination that offers a glimpse of what the future of drug interdiction might hold. Expecting that same sophistication, the cartels may push their designs even further. For now, the U.S. Navy continues the hunt. How do you stop a ghost moving underwater, carrying enough cocaine to destabilize entire communities? The U.S. Navy has faced this new threat with advanced technology, assembling an arsenal capable of tracking and intercepting these elusive vessels in vast, open waters. The sophistication of this approach reflects the scale of the challenge. Drug cartels have invested heavily in stealthy narco submarines, and the Navy's efforts to outpace their tactics have become a critical, ongoing mission. Central to this strategy are maritime patrol aircraft equipped with next-generation radar and thermal imaging systems. These planes deploy sonobuoys, sensors that detect underwater acoustics, to identify and confirm the presence of submerged vessels. Advanced radar can detect faint wake trails on the ocean's surface, while thermal imaging reveals heat anomalies even from muffled engines. These capabilities allow the Navy to monitor individual vessels and analyze larger patterns, connecting sightings to broader smuggling routes. While the exact models of these aircraft remain undisclosed, this cutting-edge technology plays a vital role in real-time intelligence sharing with other naval assets. Detection often begins long before aircraft take to the skies. The Navy employs satellite thermal imaging, drones, and AI-driven pattern recognition to track suspected smuggling routes. Satellites provide a wide-angle view of vast oceanic areas, capturing faint wakes or heat signatures left by narco subs. Drones equipped with thermal imaging add another layer of precision, while AI algorithms analyze historical data to predict where cartel submarines are likely to operate. This proactive strategy ensures naval assets are deployed efficiently, targeting high-probability zones and disrupting supply chains before they can fully form. Human intelligence further enhances these technological tools. Informants within cartel networks provide critical details, such as launch points or delivery schedules, ensuring that resources are directed toward the most likely threats. This blend of human and machine-driven insights creates a comprehensive counter-smuggling strategy that adapts in real time to evolving cartel tactics. On the ground, or rather at sea, the U.S. Coast Guard's Law Enforcement Detachment LEDET teams are indispensable. Embedded on Navy vessels, these specialized units provide the legal authority to board, inspect, and arrest smugglers. Without LEDET teams, Navy ships could locate and track narco subs, but would lack the jurisdiction to take direct action. By turning detections into convictions, LEDET teams are a critical link in the chain, ensuring that intercepted subs lead to actionable results and the dismantling of smuggling networks. Beyond individual operations, the Navy leverages multinational cooperation to expand its reach. Operation Martillo, a partnership involving 14 nations, targets smuggling routes across the southern Caribbean and eastern Pacific. In its first year, Martillo led to the capture of 339 smugglers and the seizure of over 100 drug trafficking vessels. Similarly, Operation Orion has grown into a massive initiative involving 62 countries. Orion's cooperative network has enabled record-breaking seizures, including 225 tons of cocaine and over 1,000 tons of marijuana in a single year. These operations highlight how international collaboration, combined with advanced surveillance technology, creates significant barriers to cartel shipping routes and amplifies the Navy's efforts on a global scale. The results speak for themselves. The integration of cutting-edge technology and international partnerships has led to unprecedented drug seizures, each representing major financial losses for cartel organizations. From satellites detecting faint boat wakes to drones inspecting suspicious hulls, these tools have given U.S. forces a decisive edge. More importantly, these interdictions demonstrate the Navy's ability to penetrate and dismantle cartel operations that once seemed untouchable. By systematically disrupting supply routes, the Navy has increasingly frustrated cartel efforts to extend their influence. This advantage didn't come easily. Cartels have historically adapted faster than enforcement agencies, designing submarines with noise-dampening hulls and stealthy engines to evade detection. However, continuously improving AI predictions, thermal imaging, and acoustic sensors have countered these advancements. The Navy's ability to adapt to these challenges underscores its commitment to staying ahead in this technological arms race. No single tool has defined this success. Instead, it's the combination of radar, satellites, drones, and human intelligence that has allowed the Navy to stay effective. Each mission provides new insights into cartel strategies, directly informing future operations. For example, a recent interception seized narcotics worth over $200 million just days before reaching their destination, an operation made possible by the seamless integration of international collaboration and advanced detection systems. As effective as these tools have been, the mission is far from over. With cartels developing faster, stealthier vessels, the Navy continues to refine its arsenal. What began as a tactical response to drug trafficking has evolved into a cutting-edge demonstration of high-tech naval warfare. The next frontier may lie on land, where the Navy's strategies will face their toughest test yet. Hidden deep within dense, cartel-dominated territory, the drug labs seem completely out of reach, stretching across miles of rugged terrain and shielded by layers of armed guards, underground bunkers, and advanced surveillance equipment. This facility was a keystone in the cartel's empire, capable of mass-producing cocaine by the metric ton. Its operations fed global distribution networks, generating billions in illicit revenue. The logistics hub sustained entire regions of the cartel's supply chain, fueling their massive drug exports across international borders. Yet, in a groundbreaking 112-day mission, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter James demonstrated how coordinated technology and precision tactics could dismantle such operations without a single explosive strike. The Cutter James mission, which patrolled waters off the coast of Ecuador, seized over 48,000 pounds of narcotics with an estimated street value of $510 million. This success was the culmination of advanced tools and meticulously planned interdiction strategies. At the heart of the operation were 18-hour endurance drones, which provided real-time surveillance across vast stretches of ocean. These unmanned aerial systems tracked suspicious vessels, relaying high-definition imaging to maritime patrol aircraft and small boat teams. The drone's ability to loiter for extended periods ensured no movement went unnoticed, allowing the Coast Guard to monitor trafficking routes with unprecedented precision. Once a target was identified, the operation shifted into its next phase. Maritime patrol aircraft worked in tandem with helicopter interdiction teams, known as HITRON, to close in on suspect vessels. HITRON snipers, trained to disable engines with surgical accuracy, executed precise shots to immobilize fleeing boats. This tactic was critical in preventing smugglers from evading capture while minimizing the risk of collateral damage. With the vessels disabled, small boat teams launched from the Cutter James to secure the scene, apprehend crew members, and recover jettisoned cargo. Every step of the process was carefully coordinated, ensuring a seamless chain of actions that left no room for error. The mission's success was not just a testament to advanced technology, but also to the intelligence gathering that guided each decision. Signals intelligence intercepted communications between cartel operatives, providing insight into planned smuggling routes and timing. Combined with human intelligence and satellite imagery, This data painted a comprehensive picture of trafficking operations, allowing the Coast Guard to anticipate and intercept shipments before they reached their destinations. The result was a series of precise interdictions that disrupted supply chains and dealt a significant blow to the cartel's operations. Perhaps the most striking aspect of the Cutter James mission was its restraint and focus on minimizing harm. Every interdiction was carried out with careful planning to avoid endangering civilian vessels or nearby coastal communities. The Coast Guard's emphasis on precision and accountability set a benchmark for future operations, proving that effective counter-drug efforts could be achieved without unnecessary destruction. The ripple effects of the mission were immediate and far-reaching. Cartel networks, already stretched thin by increased enforcement efforts, scrambled to adapt to the loss of such a massive shipment. Smugglers faced logistical challenges as their routes were exposed and their resources depleted. Meanwhile, the intelligence gathered during the operation provided law enforcement with valuable leads on cartel leadership, bribery networks, and future smuggling plans. This information became a critical tool in the broader fight against organized crime, enabling authorities to target higher levels of the cartel hierarchy. Experts have hailed the Cutter James mission as a game changer in maritime interdiction. A senior Coast Guard official described it as a seamless integration of technology, strategy, and execution, underscoring the operation's success in disrupting the cartel's supply chain. The mission's results demonstrated the power of collaboration and innovation in combating the global drug trade. With each intercepted shipment, the cartel's capacity to operate was further diminished, proving that even the most entrenched criminal enterprises could be challenged and weakened through strategic, precision-driven efforts. What happens when the most powerful navy in the world dismantles one of the cartel's key operations? The immediate fallout offers much more than destroyed infrastructure. In the aftermath of the precision strike on the cartel drug lab, U.S. forces meticulously sifted through the debris, uncovering a wealth of intelligence that could redefine future counter-narcotics strategy. Beyond the smoldering remains of what was once a hub of cocaine production, they recovered encrypted communication devices, financial records, and blueprints for trafficking routes. This information has started to piece together the larger puzzle of the cartel's operations, illuminating previously unknown networks and contacts. Recovered devices and financial records feed into the Joint Interagency Task Force South, where satellite imagery, radar data, and human intelligence converge to map new smuggling routes. Analysts working alongside law enforcement agencies began mapping these intricate webs, exposing avenues that stretched far beyond the borders of the destroyed compound. The documents retrieved offered a detailed look into the cartel's logistics and financial structures. They highlighted hidden accounts used to launder drug money and payments to corrupt officials, demonstrating the wide-reaching influence of the organization. The Navy's ability to disrupt this financial ecosystem may prove just as impactful as the strike itself. Targeting the resources cartels need to rebuild will limit their ability to recover in the short term. Alongside this, operations experts identified key smuggling routes that extended through both maritime and terrestrial corridors, revealing connections between regions rarely linked before. As impactful as the discovery might be, the anticipation of what comes next weighs heavily. Historically, cartels decentralize labs and scatter operations when high-value targets are struck, forcing enforcement to constantly adjust detection models. When traditional smuggling methods fell prey to law enforcement surveillance, they invested in innovations like Narco submarines. Likewise, when regional transport corridors were made more dangerous due to interdictions, cartels shifted their focus to establishing alternative networks, often in new, less monitored areas. Smaller labs might become scattered and decentralized to reduce the risk of another catastrophic loss. Routes and schedules could shift unpredictably, forcing the Navy and its partners to recalibrate their detection models continuously. There is also the looming prospect of retaliation. While cartels depend on secrecy and stealth for smuggling operations, their responses to heavy disruptions like this can sometimes turn violent. Targeted hits against law enforcement officials, coordinated trafficking surges, or even escalations in cartel wars are not uncommon in the aftermath of significant losses. These reactions can destabilize regions already burdened by cartel activity, affecting civilians and governments alike. To counter these likely adaptations, the Navy continues to expand its technological capabilities and deepen international alliances. Advances in artificial intelligence are proving critical in anticipating cartel movements. Algorithms now flag suspicious changes in vessel registrations and shipping patterns, pinpointing potential narco sub or low-profile craft operations before they set sail. Meanwhile, the ongoing integration of drone surveillance is another layer of precision. Equipped with thermal imaging sensors, drones can monitor suspicious activities in remote areas where narco submarine operations or emergency production labs might resurface. These tools also play a key role in reducing the reaction time during interdictions, providing vital real-time intelligence to tactical teams. More importantly, the global nature of the drug trade means that no nation can tackle it alone. The success of multinational operations like Martillo and Orion has underscored the value of collaboration. Martillo, which brought together 14 countries, and Orion, involving an unprecedented 62 nations, have set new standards for cooperation. These initiatives share intelligence between military and law enforcement agencies and ensure that resources are pooled effectively, allowing participating countries to address the interconnected nature of drug trafficking. Record seizures during Orion pushed cocaine prices up on U.S. streets, signaling supply pressure. The international partnerships not only magnify operational reach, but also establish a broader framework for dismantling the global networks that shield and enable major cartels. Long-term implications of the strike are now becoming evident. By diminishing cocaine output and complicating production logistics, the Navy's strike has contributed to an upward press on street prices in the United States. According to analysts, the resulting scarcity pushes traffickers to take bigger risks to meet demand, further increasing their vulnerability to detection. Ultimately, this chain reaction complicates the cartel's ability to operate on an efficient and predictable scale, cutting deeper into their profit margins over time. Experts have highlighted another unintended but significant consequence: instability within cartel ranks. Power vacuums often emerge when confidence in leadership is shaken. Rival factions may use these moments of operational weakness to vie for control, seeking to consolidate influence over production and smuggling routes. Such internal conflict, while chaotic, often mirrors the disruption law enforcement aims to create. However, it also carries the potential for violence in civilian areas, underscoring the delicate nature of these interventions. The significance of the Navy's actions lies in the broader message this operation sends. The reach of advanced military forces continues to make formerly impenetrable cartel operations into vulnerable targets. As the Navy presses forward, adaptation remains key, watching and countering every shift in cartel evolution. What once seemed like a one-sided fight in favor of the traffickers is rapidly shifting, and as technology and strategy evolve, the battle becomes less about reacting and more about depriving the opponent of any opportunity to act at all. The U.S. Navy's operations against cartel drug labs and narco submarines represent a high-stakes battle with global security implications. Each intercepted vessel and destroyed facility cripples cartel supply chains, making their operations riskier and more expensive. For every narco submarine caught, an estimated 3 succeed, so roughly 75% get through, driving the Navy's push for AI-aided reconnaissance and deeper multinational ties. As cartels evolve, so will the Navy's strategies to counter them. If you found these insights revealing, hit subscribe for in-depth military analysis and comment on which operation to cover next. Naval innovation may ultimately tip the scales in this fight.